What I want to talk about today specifically is a definition of your past and your future that will help you make the best, the absolute best of your present. Because I'll tell you right now, if you don't know, I will tell you, the way that you organize and interpret the memories of your past is what determine the way that you look and function towards the future and the way that you show up today. In other words, if you organize and look at the memories of everything that's happened to you in your past in a negative light, then what will happen is you will start to view the future with fear and trepidation and negativity, and you will never be able to enjoy today. So what is the past? Is the past real? Well, I'll say this to you. The past is as real as the nose on your face, but it is not current and it is not true. Now, I know that sounds weird, and let me clear that up. The events in your memory that you define and assign as your past are only slave to the interpretations that you give them. I'll say that again. Your memories is your way of organizing events and occurrences that have happened in the past. So you organize them and you interpret them using the filter of your mind and your consciousness. This is why, I'll explain what this means. This is why, as a child, you may have had a negative experience, and then you grow up, or a couple of years later, you look back at that negative experience, and then you think, wow, that was actually a positive experience, but at the time, I viewed it as negative. What you did there is that you reframed and recategorized your memories so that they now work for you. And let me explain what that means. If you look at your past with negativity, there's a couple of things that are happening here. Number one is that you are not recognizing that every event in your past was necessary to create the version of you that exists today. And the way that you assign meaning to an event is completely based on you. Now, this doesn't mean that there aren't events and occurrences and tragedies in our lives that will negatively impact us or harm us or hurt us. That's not what we're saying. What I am saying is the only way to succeed and to remain successful when you think about your past is that you have to reframe it into something positive. For example, you're driving to work, you get a flat tire, you miss an important presentation, and you lose your job, for example. And you think of that and you say, wow, this was all tragedy. You know, I left on time, and how could my tire get punctured? Or how could I get a flat on the way to this important meeting? And now I'm out of a job, and this was all a disaster. That is one way, just one way of framing and organizing and assigning meaning to the occurrence that you've just dealt with. But in reality, that same occurrence, if you knew, for example, that the only reason you didn't get run over by a tractor trailer was because you got that flat tire, then you would have a completely different way of organizing the same event. There's a quote that I love. It's one of my favorite quotes, and I don't remember who said it. I want to say it was Wayne Dyer that said this, that none of us know enough to be a pessimist. None of us know enough to be a pessimist. And what does that mean? It means that every occurrence, every event, every memory that you have assigned a meaning to it based on your current level of understanding or your way of being. But what you don't know is the myriad possibilities of ways that that particular event may have actually benefited you. Now, you can say this sounds delusional, but the reason I want you to really think about this is because today you are having a negative experience of life because you have framed those past occurrences and traumas and tragedies as negative. And the fact that you have framed them as that means that they will always have power over you, and you will never be able to get out from under the negative impacts of those tragedies. The only way to sit in the driver's seat and begin to take control of your life is to examine every memory that you have in your past and reframe every single memory to work for you, so that when you wake up in the morning and you approach a day, you have the most energy, the most optimism, and the most positivity for that day. And what will happen as you do this and as you practice doing this, the more you do it, what will happen is your entire framework of life will change. So you will become almost invincible, because no matter what happens, you will have already trained your subconscious mind to interpret it and to organize that information in a positive and beneficial way for you. This is Casey saying, reframe your past and own your future. Let everything that has happened to you go through a positive filter of mind, so that you can then begin to break free from the stronghold of tragedy that has held you back. I love you, and I'll see you again in the next video. By the way, if you've gained any value from this video, I want you to share it, like it, and subscribe to our channel, where every week we will be introducing a new concept similar to this that will help you in your walk of life.